Welcome back. This week, Vice President Kamala Harris addressed Israel's war against Hamas on behalf of the Biden administration. She outlined the administration's goal for life around Israel, the West Bank, and Gaza after the war. And Harris indicated there are 5 principles that are the basis of the approach to stabilizing Gaza specifically. First of all, no forcible displacement of Palestinians, no reoccupation by Israel, no siege or blockade, no territory reduction, and Gaza cannot be used as a platform for terrorism. Let's bring back Jeff Kaufman and Alicia Gaiman. The plan also calls for the Palestinian Authority to control Gaza in the end. It already oversees the West Bank. Israeli Prime Minister, though, Benjamin Netanyahu says the Palestinian Authority can't handle that responsibility. And Israel probably doesn't like the idea of not being able to maintain its blockade of Gaza. It was there in the first place to keep Hamas from getting weapons into Gaza. Not always effective, it seems. How reasonable and realistic is this plan from the Biden administration? Alicia?
I think it's I think it's quite attainable. I think conversations definitely need to begin and start moving in that direction. It looks very similar to the very popular two-state solution that had been talked about for years and years and has kind of gone by the wayside in more recent years in conflicts. But, as I view it, I see a couple challenges is just with the Palestinian Authority taking control. They've done a great job in the West Bank. You don't hear of things happening like we've just witnessed in Gaza, and I think that's a good thing. But you also have the problem and struggle that they have is they have no land unification. So those two areas are divided by Israel, and so that does give a little bit of a challenge to the Palestinians when they're looking at kind of moving their leadership into that area as well, because they're not connected in any way, shape, or form physically. And then the other thing I would say is that you really have to look at it because the Palestinian Authority has not been in control in Gaza for quite some time, so it's going to be quite an effort, and we cannot fool ourselves about how hard it's going to be to eradicate Hamas and some of the other terrorists deemed organizations operating within there to make sure that the Palestinians can hold up their end of the deal as far as keeping the Israelis safe and not having any other terrorist attacks happen like we witnessed back a few months ago.
And Jeff, this would also require a massive reconstruction effort. Is this a realistic goal?
On paper, to say the Palestinian Authority will be the governmental entity in charge, on paper, it may seem to work, but the Palestinian Authority has problems even within the West Bank territories. Now, I'm not saying that it's impossible barriers that they have in that area, but I think adding another strip, and as Alicia has said, that is separated, physically separated, geographically separated, is going to be extremely difficult to do. And I think to have the conversation right now and to expect an immediate Israeli reaction, we're literally a month from the Israeli 9/11. So I think right now is not a good time to posit something, especially something that the Israelis have not had a chance to digest completely. And the overwhelming challenge right now is destroying Hamas. I think the Vice President would have been well served to get some immediate credibility had she started that conversation with an absolute, undistinguishing denunciation of the terrorist attacks and their equivalent of 9/11 attacks, and then move towards that. She's going to have to, and the country is going to have to establish some credibility, or the Biden administration is going to have to establish some credibility. They have some credibility. They need to make sure maintain that, and that's going to be difficult in an election year when they got their far left wing that is completely upsetting our Harvard and Yale classrooms and college campuses with absolute nonsense.
Jeff Kaufman, Alicia Gaiman, thank you both for the conversation as always. Be safe.